Cash Money Morgan. As you guys may have seen, this is not the loft. Woo! Actually, I'm homeless now, and I'm just like recording from the earth. No, we are here at Hannah Reuter's beautiful parents' house, and we decided Hannah and I were inspired by the one and the only Jeff and Tana.
Yes, we were.
And Hannah's so cute because we share a brain cell, and she's like, hey, this would be so crazy, but like, what if we did a pod somewhere else? And I was like, well, that's so wild, because I was thinking the same thing, and then we went with the country Missouri lore. Right. So I would say, Hannah, we should wear these outfits like once a week, right?
I concur. I think that would be the only logical solution.
Yes.
This is perfect.
So when you give a shout out to your parents, let us use their house and their
shout
space.
Shout out to Anna and Chad.
Yes.
Love them.
Love you guys, period. Shout out to Hannah for having great parents. Yes,
shout out to the cows.
Being a good daughter. Yeah. Shout out to the cows that we fed earlier.
Yes.
I discovered I'm not a farm girl. I mean, I feel like I can vibe, but
city girl for sure. Through and through. Now you know 100%. You were about 99% of the way there, and now you know without a doubt, city girl.
It's just like I could fish.
Yeah.
I just don't like touching the fish's mouths. Like
no.
I like cows, but like something about like the mouth is just,
I don't know.
I'm like, give me the udder. Like
I've skinned a squirrel, you know that?
Okay.
Skinned a squirrel. I could survive in the woods, probably.
I can like skin a fish. Like I don't know what it is, stuff like that, but like human blood, it's like
no.
Okay, well, getting ahead of ourselves. Everyone, please welcome the one, the only Hannah Reuter. Hannah, how does it feel to be my first guest that has been on here? Also, sidebar, we're in the earth.
Yeah,
we're in
we're
the wild.
outside.
We're wearing country outfits, so if you're gonna hear cicadas, mosquitoes, birds, lawnmowers,
cows,
motorcycles, you're gonna suck it up because that's Missouri life.
We're trying to bring you the authentic experience, and this is what you get. This is like Nat Geo.
If you want some filter thing, you need to go to... I'm not gonna name drop stuff. Sorry, guys, we're in our non-controversial era.
Yeah. Not been canceled this year.
Not this year. That was on the vision board.
Yes.
Okay, Hannah. So you're my first reoccurring guest.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, I'm so flattered.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that was really that much.
No, my heart is so warm. I did not know that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, you're my first recurring guest, and it's exciting because I'm sure I'm going to have other ones in the future. Like my sister, I had to get her back on, but it's exciting. We're back in the weeds, you guys, but it's okay.
Sorry, we got a little weedy dash going over here, but it's okay because the neighbor's lawn's gonna look outstanding, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, and it's like as he's whacking the weeds, make sure you whack out the evil in your life. You know, like
whack out the weeds in your soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. That's a bar. Yes. So Hannah, so you were on my podcast last June. I had gone back from church camp, and you hopped on the pod. And it's just like so crazy, and we barely knew each other because when I was asking you questions originally, it was genuinely because I'm like getting to know you.
Yeah, for like the very first time, we had just met in May, so that was like our first official like long conversation, and we had of course a 3-hour dinner the first time that we ever gotten to know each other, and that just set the tone for our entire friendship, which is Yap City population us.
Yes.
But it's crazy to be back here. I can't believe it's been a year.
I know, and I think it's, as I was like preparing like what I want to ask you and stuff, it's definitely different because bro, this guy out here got me dead, bro.
He's like not wanting us to succeed at all.
No, it's okay though because of love.
Yeah.
But
hey, I've been praying for patience. You know, this is God giving me the opportunity to learn patience. I'm so happy.
Super cool, like bug killer. I'm obsessed with this. Yeah. This is so cute.
We are doused in bug spray.
Oh yeah, at least the best perfume.
An inch of bug spray on all of our skin.
Yes. But when I was originally writing questions for you, I was obviously first getting to know you, and this guys, God's also teaching you patience as well.
Yeah.
So but I feared should we start over? No, I'm just saying. I'll edit this out. We're fine.
He should finish up soon, hopefully.
Okay, it's fine. But as I was writing questions for this time, it was a little bit harder because I'm like, I feel like I know you so much better now, you know? And so having but also it's like a good thing too.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like we jumped right over the like get to know you part of the friendship, and the very first night we're just like, let's cover everything that's like somewhat like everything surface level to like medium deep.
Yeah.
And then since then we've gotten all the way to like the center of the earth. Like we know everything.
Like I feel like you and me were like Pamela Anderson and Tommy when it was like, hey, we met 4 days ago, but like, do you want to get married? Like, and then they got married. Like that was crazy. Yeah. And I just watched the show, so
equally as iconic, I would say.
Yeah.
Slightly less scandal, but that's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Way more modest.
Yeah.
But she's a queen. So
yes. Yeah.
Okay, Hannah. So just give my my listeners a quick your resume real fast.
Oh,
like,
okay.
This is you, relationship, business, like extracurriculars. That's a quick little. This is who Hannah is.
So I'm self-employed. I just celebrated my 3-year business anniversary.
Woo!
Being employed for Hannah.
Oh my gosh, I need to turn that down.
It's okay. We've got a lot of background noise in here. We got to cancel it out. My business is called Hannah McCall Media. It's a social media management and digital marketing company that I started and kind of on accident. You can hear the whole story if you go back to the first episode that we did together. And I'm married. I'm about to celebrate my 3-year wedding anniversary. Also awesome. What else? I'm a huge Marvel fan. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know that. I love Morgan with every fiber of my being. Let's see. That's about it. What else is there?
Your podcast.
I do have a podcast. That's a great point. I have a podcast. It's called Our Non-Toxic Podcast. It's like less, I would say, edgy, cool than Morgan's.
Get out of here.
It's more just
there's less weed whacking.
It's more me talking about less background noise, maybe, but it's just a lot more of me talking about my life and problems, and I wouldn't say that's a good thing, but some people tune in. So
I tune in like at work.
I love it,
and I'm like, this is so good because if I don't have time to see you, like I'm like, okay, at least I can like catch
You're
up
literally
on my life.
Yeah,
and it's also like we podcast about the things that we don't talk about in real life.
Yeah.
Like when we hang out, you don't tell me like, man, when I'm at the gym, like and my legs get sweaty and like this one, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, that doesn't come up when we hang out, and so I like.
It is nice because it's like the little stuff that you just think, which I don't know why I think strangers are more inclined to hear that and enjoy it than you are, but it's for some reason like the list of things that I make to put on the podcast are just so out of left field that I think they're anecdotal and funny, but that's neither here nor there. No,
I'm the same way though, because it's like your internal thoughts. And when you're like doing on a podcast by yourself, it's like a solo pod, you're just kind of like me to the universe. But then when I'm hanging out, I'm like, everyone doesn't need to know that I have a fear of eyeballs, and then I get scared when I watch Monsters Inc. Like,
truly, and it's crazy like the avenues that you'll take whenever you're by yourself talking, because there's no one to check you. There's no one to be like, like you're not getting visual feedback that what you're saying is like a little bit off the rails. So you just kind of keep going, and then I don't listen to mine back. Like yours are edited better than mine,
girl.
Mine, I edit the intro song and the outro song. That's it. I color correct a little bit.
Hannah, I make more mistakes.
No.
Like by mistakes, I'll like say things that I'm like, ooh, that could get clipped in a bad way later. So I'm like CJ, clip out like 4 to 8 minutes.
That's so smart. No, sometimes I don't even process what I say. And my mom, sometimes she'll send me like wholesome quotes that I've said. I'm like, that came out of my mouth. I said that.
I love that.
Or people will be like,
you should make those t-shirts like iCarly and put on the quotes that you do.
Oh, they wouldn't be as funny. Like they put stuff like eyeball butter. I don't think I have quotes like that.
Oh my God, that was really good for Off the Dome, bro.
I watch a lot of iCarly. That probably is the actual like Penny T slogan.
Oh my God.
I go through an iCarly phase about once a year, so I'm brushed up on my lore.
Okay. Okay, that's fire. So Hannah, obviously, as we were saying earlier with the weed whacking, okay, but also like that's kind of iconic way to start the podcast. Like name something more Morgan Pagel than like that. Like
drinking a LaCroix.
Yeah.
We got the weed eating background. We got the golden hour sunset. Woo! How beautiful.
We're live, laugh, loving.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we spoke too soon.
Like rodents and certain things that, things always come back. Anyways, so Hannah, last time I had you on the podcast, we really dived deep about like what you said, like your business and get to know you and stuff like that. And so I kind of want to start like where our friendship is at right now. Like I feel like when I think about what's happened in my life this past year and like what's happened in your life, so much has happened this past year.
Yeah.
And like for me, I just wrote down some like adjectives that I feel like happened in your life. It was like you traveled a lot.
True.
You went through some hardships.
Also true.
You got some awards. You caught a lot of vibes.
Many vibes.
And you're also now like a solo podcast host.
Yes.
And so that was just like some top things that I'm like, okay, we could unpack some of that.
Well, what's crazy is that I feel like our situations, even though we're in different like ish life stages, it's so crazy how parallel everything has been. And whenever we first met, I thought it was insane that we were so like-minded, and I've talked about this on my podcast before where I thought you would not vibe with me because you would think I was cool because you just seem so like effortlessly chic, cool girl, and I was like, no.
I don't think you've seen any of my high school
No, I keep mine under lock and key. There's like, you have to give a blood oath to see any of my photos prior to like 2020, and I probably should up that date.
I was the lead boy character in our school play.
It's okay. we all have our
like
past.
The peak of puberty. Yeah,
it builds character though, but I think it's honestly crazy.
Talk about being confused. I'm just kidding. No, God is good, and I knew exactly who I was.
Amen. I feel like it's just crazy because we've had so many different things. Like, obviously, having the podcast is the most natural thing, but then with you leaving your job and going to start your own business, it's been so odd. Because then we introduce ourselves at networking events, and we're like, "Oh, this is Morgan. She has a podcast and does social media." And like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so. Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Hannah. I have a podcast. I do social media marketing." And they're like, "Okay, that's great for both of you," but. I mean, obviously, we have our differentiating factors, but everything we've been going through, it's just crazy how God can bring us together to kind of hold each other's hand and like go through all these hard seasons, even though they're not the exact same thing. But man, we've just been through it together. I know, and it is so crazy because obviously, like, you are married and I'm single, and we kind of like do different things. But I feel like I just like relate to you a lot of times like better than some single people or whatever. You know, I'm like it's weird how we connect so well that like you would think I'm not like a regular married person.
I don't know.
I'm a cool married person. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry.
Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know. Honestly, you're not. Like, most are like, sorry, I don't know or leaf blowing. This man said rent was due.
He's leaf blowing the grass. I didn't think that was like the grass is.
Remember in Selena Gomez when she was in that like Cinderella and they were like vacuuming the driveway?
That's a deep cut. I like that.
That was like ingrained in my brain.
You know what? This is great.
No, it's okay. It's vibes. City girls up. Country girls up.
I'll take a selfie
first. Yeah, take a selfie while
we're waiting.
Yeah, we're vibing out. This is the Tanner and Brooke Lord.
This really is.
Okay, so Hannah, so you traveled a lot.
I did.
Pretty much like last time we did the podcast, we were like podcasting and Live Laugh Loving, and then next thing I know, you were like on buses, on airplanes, on trains.
Bus, train, club, another club.
No again.
Well, yeah. At the point of us podcasting, I was in like the calm before the storm. I just didn't really know it yet. So last year I took a contract and I had never done any travel work before. All my social media clients had been based out of Springfield. And whenever I took this contract, it was kind of like, would you be down to do social media content for this conference down in Dallas? It's a week long. And I, of course, am always down for anything that is going to pay me money. So I quoted it and they accepted and it was so exciting. I couldn't wait to go. And I did the conference. It was like nonstop, so busy. And my July was insane trying to prepare for it because I had, I usually have 4 weeks of time to do 4 weeks worth of work, and all my deliverables don't change regardless of the time that I'm there or not. So anytime I travel, I have to get all my work done prior to leaving. Otherwise, I miss deliverables and clients aren't happy. So
yeah,
I was preparing for this trip and trying to get like all of my game plan completely concrete because I don't like to go into new situations and feel underprepared. So
yeah,
I was doing all kinds of research of similar conferences and figuring out what kind of content I could implement for my client and so on, in addition to getting all my stuff done. And I had so many offers for like a la carte independent contracts, just like random photo shoots, random content things in July. July was my best month. It was like the amount that I grossed for July is like the equivalent of what I normally do for like 2 or 3 months. But I was busy nonstop, like every single day, to the point that it was still fresh enough that I was loving it, but it was taking a little bit of a toll because I couldn't go work out. I couldn't really see my friends or do anything. And my husband was so supportive, luckily, because he would like bring me a quesadilla like to my office at 9 p.m. just so I could prepare. And then I was gone for this conference. And then
quesadilla king.
I love don't sleep on a quesadilla, like shredded American cheese.
Oh yeah,
like a white tortilla. It's not probably a real quesadilla, but
that's why I like the flour tortilla.
What do they call them? Like poverty nachos. Whenever you just like melt cheese on the chips. Anyways, it's the simple things, honestly. But after I went on
sorry, it was delayed, but it was still there.
Hey, it's about the counts.
Yeah, there we go.
But after I went on that trip, then a couple more of my clients were like, oh, we didn't know you would travel. Like, we've got this coming up. We got this coming up. So I ended up traveling with the same client the following month on this road trip. And we drove in a Sprinter van from Springfield and then to Ohio, stayed the night, drove the next day from Ohio to New York, stayed the night, did a conference the next day, drove from New York to Philadelphia, stayed the night, woke up, did a conference, drove that night from Philadelphia to DC, did a conference, stayed the night, drove to Ohio, and then drove back to Missouri. So it was like a 6 or 7 day road trip on the Sprinter van.
Also, is it so bad that I'm like, yeah, I travel if it's a flight. But if it's not a flight, I don't travel.
Now, I'm probably going to say only flights. It was a good experience because I had never gone cross country in a van before. And technically, I could say I've been to like New York and Philadelphia. The only one that I would say I've actually been to, though, is DC because I got to walk around that day. Mm-hmm. I got up super early with the intent, like, I came all this way, I'm going to get some, like, some exploring done. But other than that, I just was kind of in the hotel rooms. But then the next month, I went with a client to Vegas. And from there, like, I was, like, I don't want to bore everyone with the details, but I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I think that I am just exhausted because I've had a flight every single month since last July, with the exception of last May. Like, just May. Every other month I've had at least one flight, if not multiple. And sometimes they were for business and sometimes they were personal. And at one point I would have been like, that's the dream come true. But it just takes a toll on you. And, being away from your friends and husband and just routine, I don't know.
Yeah.
It needs to be a lot.
Yeah. So when you got back from all of that, where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not really into the traveling right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to focus more so on just like local stuff.
Yeah.
Or where were you at when you were like, because you could have just been like, oh, I'll travel like once in a while. Like, how did it shift?
I think it shifted fast for one, but I loved it so much. But it's just difficult. And I think if I was in a different life stage, I would have loved it so much more. But it's just that everything that I love is kind of like being left behind. So I love my job, but I got to this weird point where I was in Vegas and like I have this super vivid memory of going to this conference and it's so fun and you're meeting all these different people and it's in a new industry. And that's one of the reasons that I love doing social media is because you get to interact with people from all different kinds of industries and walks of life and everything. It's not just my one specialty. So I was having the best time. There was like a cocktail reception for this conference, and then I went back to my beautiful hotel room, and I was like, wow, this is such a dream. And it, in like probably 10 minutes, went from me like walking around, feeling like I'm in this like movie montage, just dancing around my hotel, and then sitting there and being like, no one here actually knows or cares about me. This is really crazy. And I'm looking out into the Las Vegas Strip, and I can see the twinkling lights and like all these people, and it's so lively. And then I got on Instagram, and I can see everyone's life is just going on as usual. And that was just like a weird feeling where I felt like I'm on the outside of like this snow globe that is my life, and life just goes on because I'm replaceable on all these work trips. Of course, I would like to think that I'm the best that the best they could possibly hire, but that's probably not true. But I'm replaceable at work.
You are the best, Hannah.
Oh, thank you. But you know what I mean? Like, they could hire somebody else to like make content for them, but I'm not replaceable at home, and I didn't like that life kind of just continued on. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to stop traveling for work as much. So.
Yeah. It's actually funny you say that, because obviously, you know me, I'm like such a Europe person at heart, and like I want to travel really bad. And I feel like if you had to make a list of like pros and cons, that's like the only thing on the con, really. It's just kind of like you have so many experiences and things that people like don't understand, especially when you're overseas. But then it's like you come back and like people don't, there's not a pause button. Like you come back and people have kids and like life goes on. And I feel like that can also be like hard to adjust. And the routines like grow together around where you used to be. So whenever I was gone all the time, either I was gone or I was like gone in theory because I was so busy. I was wrapped up in my office all the time. I just wasn't present in people's lives anymore. And then you can like, just like a little garden like kind of grows around this one empty spot. And I was like, oh, it kind of just grows around you. And that's really sad. Yeah. And it wasn't anyone's intention. I never felt like anyone was doing it on purpose. It just, the routines, people get used to you not being there. And it was really sad. So I loved it, and I loved the experience. And I think there's not enough that I can say about traveling solo and just the experiences that you have when you're with other people, but it's not like your regular routine. No one's checking in on you because they're not your people that you're traveling with. It's just you. So I definitely got like closer with myself in a weird way, which is good. There's a lot of growth there. Yeah. But I went to the Avengers exhibit in Las Vegas by myself. And my mom was like, you did what by yourself? I took a cab there. I just really want to go. Yep. You're preaching to the choir. I'm like, take a flight too. Like,
I know. Well, I met the head of security in the Palazzo because I made a faux pas in the casino. I was walking because I went to get a midday coffee, as you do, and someone was playing craps and the dice fell off the table, and I went to go grab them. You're not supposed to do that because it affects the outcome, because even if they like fall across the aisle,
it's like magical dice.
I'm like swapping them out. But then the casino guy comes up with like his big cane and he's like, oh no, ma'am, let me get that. So he takes it and gives it back to the guy, and he's like, you're not supposed to do that. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not up to speed on the casino etiquette. I'm not a gambler. So we're chit-chatting, and then he ends up walking me back to the conference, and he's telling me about his dog, Tango. The dog's name is Tango.
Name dropped. All right.
I follow her on Instagram, Canine Tango. And we were having this whole conversation just about like Vegas and the craziest things they've seen. And then we got to talking about like aliens. And then he came back to the conference, and everyone's asking like, oh, what, like, who have you arrested? And long story short, we got into the conversation about sex trafficking. And this is actually really sad, but it's interesting, where they were saying that hardly anyone goes missing from like a bachelorette party or a girls trip or a family trip or anything, because sex traffickers profile young girls, and they'll look for things like a wedding ring, or if your phone background has a photo of you and someone else, like family or husband, because there's someone that would look for you. So they look for people who are like, there's no ties to someone else. And the fact that if you had like even just a Polaroid photo in the back of your phone case of you and your mom or something.
I need to change my wallpaper right now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Like, that's a freaking
scary.
Palm tree.
But I wouldn't have even thought of those things. Like, of course I have my wedding ring on, but like my background says Stark Industries. Like, it's not it's not anything that's going to deter a sex trafficker. But that was very sad. And on the one hand, I was like, oh, I guess that's a sharing, but how tragic, you know?
We can't even touch on trafficking because I
know it's close to your heart.
Yeah, it's like a huge thing. But that is wild. And safety is very important. And so I'm glad you met somewhat. It sounds like a safe guy. Tango's father.
Tango's owner.
Tango's dad.
Yeah. Tango's caretaker.
So I have so much to ask you. But since we're on the topic of social media, and I feel like we were chatting about this the other day, like, there's so many pros and cons of social media, because I feel like we love it, right? It's vibes. But then also, like, I know coming back from church camp, I just feel like I see so much stuff, and to me it's always like you come back from like a moment where you feel so filled, and it's like, ugh, like none of it matters. You know what I'm saying? It's, like, it's a thing where it's like, okay, you have to always be doing like creative things, always be researching, like always be trying different things, but then also having this like authentic, genuine element of it. And also it's like, at the end of the day, you know, it's also like, we're not brain surgeons. No. Like if we don't do our job, like it's gonna be okay. You know, and so it's like this dance of what we do matters. It's important, it's effective, but also when you need to take time away and like vibe out and just relax and be in the moment, like that's important too. So like, how do you deal with I guess like new creativity and also like burnout and that kind of thing? Because obviously like you have clients as well and personal and podcasts. So I know like I'll funnel a lot into my podcast and then be like,
One thing about me is that I don't play games unless it's ping pong at Classics Yard. Classics Yard is Springfield's #1 social sport and game center. It is located in the back of Classic Rock Coffee Company headquarters and next door to the Riff. Coffee, sports, music, what more could you want? Located at 1900 West Sunset Street in Springfield, Missouri. Be sure to check them out, play some games, and reserve your event today. Visit www.classicsyard.com.
Like on my personal a bit more, but I feel like you go hard at all of it.
I definitely don't feel that way. So I'm happy somebody does. No, I feel like it's crazy because I had imposter syndrome really badly a couple weeks ago. Last night, probably like an hour ago. But I was honestly struggling just because I feel like social media will get me to the point that I'll get online and then I'll see people that are, first of all, pushing their business way more. Then I'll see people who are doing way more with their podcast, you. And then I'll see people who are like really on their content.
I'm like, does this feed even match? Like,
I love it. It's so authentic to you though.
It's just goofy goober vibes, but I'm like, okay.
You know how it is though. Like you look at somebody else's and you're like, wait, maybe mine shouldn't match. It's not cute, whatever. But then I'll see somebody who's like really on their fitness grind, and I'll see somebody else who is pushing into their outfit content and like they're making the most creative, amazing reels. And I'm really into like VFX, but I haven't pursued that in a while. And I'll see people that are doing the most creative, awesome things that I really want to learn. And then I feel like I'm slacking in every single area, even though all of these people are only specializing in one thing. When I scroll, now I feel inadequate in 10 ways, you know, and all those people are only good at their one thing. And I just can't pick my one thing. So then I'm comparing all of my 10 things, you know, it's really difficult.
And like one thing I'll say to that too is like, as a consumer, I don't like the things that are the one thing. Like when I see someone that's an account that's just fashion, like I follow TikTokers that I'm like, I love this girl's hair and her fashion sense and everything, but it's like a business. Like I'm following you because I'm influenced by your fashion and stuff like that.
But it's not for them. Oh my gosh.
It's not for them. And so I think that's the thing is like, you know, like you can blow up as an influencer or content creator for something like a business, like a fashion, like an effects kind of thing. But when I look at someone like
pigeonholed.
Yes, when you look at someone like Tana Mojo, I'm so bad because Tana be out on YouTube. But I think she's very authentic. Like you can be like whatever, but or Sadie Robertson.
She's famous for like who she is. Yeah.
Exactly. Like who she is. Like even Sadie Robertson, like other people too. It's like they can do a podcast for 5 years. Like they can start multiple brands because people like them.
Yes. And like their brand transcends just the one thing. Even Alex Earle, you know, I've been on my Alex Earle.
Right. She's on the Alex Earle lore right now.
I'm just like so impressed with everything she does, but I'm not going to get on that tangent right now. But I think that it's crazy because her personality, and similar with Alex Cooper, like they can transcend just the one thing they started with because everyone wants to see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. It's not anymore just like the Salacious podcast or the Get Readies with Me. They want to see everything that they're doing because their personality is so captivating. And I think the thing that is burning me out with social media is the fact that everybody wants to be an influencer. And that might sound cliche because like, girl, you have a podcast and you're posting all the time, but I don't care that everybody wants to be an influencer, but it seems like everybody's trying to follow the exact same pattern of how to be an influencer with like, and this is like no shade to anyone, but the Amazon storefronts, like there's so many Amazon influencers, there's so many people that are following the exact same things. And when I get on TikTok, it's like CapCut template. It's somebody saying, here's 10 ways to grow on Instagram or TikTok and everything. And then you scroll again and it's the same exact formula. And it worked for some people, which is great. But then people who maybe that's not their most authentic way of representing themselves and their content are rinse and repeating it just for the sake of trying to get views and virality. And that's where it starts to lose me because I would rather see 10 different ways of, you know, somebody doing a video sitting in front of their mirror getting ready versus the exact same like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's very hard to be creative, and I struggle with that a lot of times too, which usually results in me not posting a video. But I think that's where I'm getting the burnout from, is because it doesn't feel like anyone's creating authentic content. It's like everyone's creating content with the goal of just getting the views. And I think that if I had to choose, you know, getting 1 million followers, which now we got an airplane flying overhead.
I love it.
We got Maverick out here.
City Girls
But I feel like if I had to honestly choose between having a ton of followers,
I'm like, that's Delta.
I don't even see it. I don't know where's that.
I can't see it either.
Something's pretty though. But I feel like if I was faced with like two options, and one of them was to continue having like my little 6,000 followers that like engage with my content sometimes, and then
it's not a slaying out.
No, but I have great followers, but it's like it's not a ton. It's just like engage, and then people who like 100,000 followers, but I had to continue making content that didn't feel like it was personal to me. Then it wouldn't feel fulfilling. Even like for a while, I was like, I'll try and grow, and I was using hashtags and trying to create more like along that vein, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I know I'm kind of like rambling, but as dumb as it sounds, like we'll watch my own videos and be like, that was cool, like that was funny.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it gets no views and it tanks. I'm not using hashtags. Like I'm kind of just putting it out there for fun. And that's how I've been fighting burnout, is creating content that I genuinely want to rewatch or create.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing with business. It's like, what's your why? And I think that's what tells people like like everyone and their mom has a podcast now, right?
Yeah.
And
love it.
Like live, laugh, love it, because, and sometimes it's weird because it's like, I'm not like competitive by nature. Like, well, yes I am. but it's not a thing where it's like, oh no, but it's kind of like that thing where, markets get saturated. Of course, and so it's exciting people start podcasts, but then also you're like,
it makes you like a little bit like, is this going to derail my success?
Yeah.
Like it's just human nature.
Natural thought. Yeah. But I think like you have to have a solid why, because it's trendy. So people start a podcast and they're like, all right, vibe out, I'm going to do this. But the people that are like have the mission behind it, like I know for me, it's like I have a podcast because I love to storytell and I love getting to help people share stories, because I know God gave me this gift of like being extroverted and being crazy. And so it's like, whatever, I'm going to do this if I have one follower.
Right. Yeah.
And so obviously we want to make money and like vibe out from it. But at the end of the day, if it's just us watching this episode, I'm
going to watch it.
My dad's going to watch it. So it's like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, what is your why?
I think that for me, it's always been the creative outlet. Like I've liked to make videos even before social media was really a thing. And it's not, because I feel like it sounds holier than that to be like, I don't care about the views, but
no, I mean like
it's been a long time coming. Like it truly has been a journey. I don't know if it's been the same thing for you, but I wanted that for so long, and I feel like I went through all the different phases of like the blogger posting where my whole aesthetic was like super saturated pink, like it was atrocious, and I hope it never surfaces. And then I went through a Photoshop era where everything, I'm like, why did no one tell me? Like my friends must have all despised me at that time, because it looks like my skin is made of like actual clay. Like it's not good. And now I feel like my content, I think it's funny, I think it's cute. I like looking at my page because it's full of so many happy memories, and nothing is meant to like do numbers. Even with my podcast, I could be pushing it so much harder to maybe make it go further. And that is one of my goals, is to lean more into it, because it's something that I'm proud of. And now that we have, I have more established direction, I should be doing that. But it's truly just because I love to create. Like I love to make videos, and sometimes it'll pivot straight from like a fitness video to like a Spider-Man video to a fashion video. But those are just what I love to do.
And that's what people are attracted to. Is someone that's real. You know what I'm saying? And like, you have real passions and they're niche. Like, I love ping pong. Not every chick on the block likes ping pong.
True. I can't do it. Don't like it.
No, but it's like, we have the things that we like. Yeah. And I think people, you either relate to it. Like, I have a coworker who's deathly afraid of eyeballs. Like, we connect so well, you know? Yeah. But so it's like, you have so many friends too that love Marvel as well. So it's just kind of like,
because I made them. Like they just got tired of me being like, you have to watch it. And then finally like, fine, okay, I will. So they just like humored me basically. Yeah. So, I have the best friends in the whole world. We just gotta get you addicted.
2 quick podcast questions left. So has there been a podcast that's been your favorite so far?
Like episode or podcast that I listened to?
Episode.
Ooh. I don't know. It's hard to say because
it's a hard question to answer. I know people always ask me, and I'm like, I don't know.
The thing is, you're asking me questions, and I haven't given you a single concise answer yet. So you ask me a question. Let me give you a 4-part answer. Okay, so I would say,
I love it.
I'm gonna go in order of like least good. So I liked the era. Brie and I did like an eras episode. Brie is my former co-host, and unfortunately she had to bow out of the podcast because she's got 2 little babies and a killing it, super successful business. So she had to go and pursue all her 18 other ventures, which is amazing for her, and she's so successful and amazing. That said, she's not with the podcast anymore, but one of the episodes that we did, we went through like our eras, and it was just like a fun walk down memory lane. So I think it was cool because we met each other as adults for the first time. So it was just cool to walk back through all the different things. That was really fun to do, and kind of like a creative thing, because it was when, the eras tour was popping off, as if it's not still. And then I think that it was really fun to do.
So that was like the least favorite on the favorites list.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
Okay. Just had to make sure.
Bottom of the top list. Correct.
Bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. I love obviously all the guest episodes just because you get to interview so many different people.
Yeah.
So that's not really an answer. But then I also think my second, if I'm moving up the ranks, I love all the solo episodes because I get a little bit better every time, I think, because I get a little bit more comfortable. But it's something that I never wanted to do, and I was so
which is so odd to me because I mean I get it. The first time I ever did a solo,
it's so awkward.
I like literally was like I'm embarrassed that I'm gonna talk for an hour, but also like
you can't even figure out. I don't know if you had the same issue. Maybe it's just me, but I had like an issue with my breath, like figuring out how to like pause and take a breath. Because you want to like fill the space, and then I kept talking, and I was winded from talking so much and not giving myself like a pause to breathe. It was a disaster, but I feel like I've gotten better. So it's been fun to explore that and like slowly lose the self-consciousness from it. Yeah. So, but the irony is that I can podcast for like an hour and a half. Like I think my record is like 70 to 80 minutes straight.
It's amazing.
And I don't cut. I just keep going all the way through.
Just keep talking.
But I can't do like a get ready with me. Like I filmed one yesterday because I'm like, I need to tell a story, and I think this would be a fun medium to do it. And I felt so uncomfortable, and I don't know why, because that's an oxymoron.
I get it. But anytime I literally post anything on TikTok, I'm like, this is so cringe. Like, this is so, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, Morgan, just try to be funny. Like, be yourself. But I get so scared because I'm like, anybody could see it. Yes. And I think I'll post something, like I'll go through like my post 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like jail time, like who let me post this?
Exactly.
You know, because we
I think it's always how it's gonna be.
It's like anywhere on the internet, and like anyone can see that doesn't even follow you. So I feel like it just gets so in my head. But
I'm like, man, whenever I blow up and get so famous, it's gonna be so embarrassing. No, it always does. Like it's like probably like an 8-month lifespan, and then I look back, I'm like, ooh, that wasn't cute, that wasn't funny, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
But if I may get serious, I feel like my first favorite episode, it wasn't actually my favorite episode because I hated recording it, but I recorded an episode about the miscarriage that I had in November of last year, and I really didn't plan to release it. It was more of like I couldn't talk to anyone else without crying, so I'm like, I just have to get all my feelings out. So I was like, I'll just record it, and then, you know, if I release it, I release it. If I don't, I don't. And I recorded it like 2 or 3 days after I got back from the doctor, and it was like very fresh. I ended up releasing it because I just felt this call like on my heart to put it out, because if I hadn't had so many women in my corner telling me their stories and supporting me during that time, I don't know how I would have continued to move forward.
Yeah.
So part of the reason that I was able to, you know, not put all the blame on myself and really spiral down a dark hole was the kindness and the openness of the women around me. So I felt like if I have benefited from that, I should pay it forward by putting this episode out, because what if someone doesn't have that same support system?
You're so mature, Hannah. I mean, like, you need to give yourself some credit, because that's like the way that you're thinking those thoughts, like just in that quick time frame, is pretty crazy.
I don't think I can take credit for that. I think God probably put a little something on my heart, but that I just listened. That's the only thing that I did.
Yeah.
But I ended up putting it out, and I wish that I could like convey the impact that it's had. I get messages. That was November, and now in July I still get messages, emails every single week. I get YouTube comments. I get, because my email is in everything.
Yeah.
So I get emails all the time, like big paragraphs. I have messages constantly, and it is a little bit heavy to continually kind of go back to that place and read them. And I also, like, my heart aches for the number of people that are going through that situation, and especially people, I think, will seek it out when they're in those first few weeks where the grief is like the strongest. But it's so humbling to feel like God has used me for that reason. And I just kept praying at the beginning, like, if this can help one person, then I will feel okay about.
Yeah.
Like, I can go through this pain, and I'm not going to like it, and I'm not going to accept it, and I'm not going to be happy about it ever. But if I can go through it and help somebody else as a result, then I can come to peace. Like, I can make peace with it, I guess. So the fact that now it's like my most played episode by far, it has like 5 times the number of views as my other most played episodes, and just the response that it has had is just like, okay, if that was the only reason that God gave me any kind of platform at all, then I think that's okay.
Yeah. And it's crazy how that can be a ministry. Like, what we do, you know, is we obviously are the mayors of Yap City, but it's also like the episodes that we feel called to do, and the ones that we like drag our feet because we're like, we don't want to do this, but God's like, but I gave you this platform, I gave you these skills, I need you to do this because we can help save someone's life or like something, you know, whatever it may be. And it's definitely, it's weird, but I'm so like proud of you, you know, and I know I feel like you, not that you hide things well, but it's so hard to like look at someone so like cheery and vibe out and then like think about you being sad. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh,
I mean, that's great. That means I'm doing a good job. But it's hard. And it's almost like I felt like there was a conscious point.
Reopens the wound almost.
Yeah. And I don't like it. I don't like to be sad. I'm very much like, with any kind of sadness or grief, I want to move on as fast as I can. And not in like a not process it way, but like I give myself the time to feel it, and then I don't like to live there because I think I know myself well enough to know that if I give myself this much extra time to grieve, I will like take up permanent residence there. Yeah. Like I can lament and just pity party with the best of them. So, and I've been there before, and I know how hard it is to climb out of once you let yourself kind of slide into that pit. So that's my accountability to myself, is knowing that I am an extremist, and if I'm going to let myself feel the dark twisties, then I'm going to take up permanent residence in the dark twisties. So I have to make sure that I'm responsible. And, you know, grief is different, and I don't want to ever compare my pain to anyone else's darkest time, but the only person that can heal you is you and God. You know, you're the only person responsible for doing the work. And if you don't push yourself to keep doing things and keep moving forward, then you won't make any progress.
That's right.
It's very difficult. And I think that it's also hard because you don't want to gloss over it and pretend like nothing ever happened, but you also want to make sure that, I don't know, especially for me, it was difficult because I'm like, I don't need to go for a walk. I don't need to go get a coffee. I don't need to watch a movie. You just want to kind of sit there and stare into the abyss and feel sorry for yourself. Yeah. And sometimes that's warranted, but you have to do like the silly things in order to bring color back to your life. Yeah. And I don't know, I think that to let any tragedy derail the rest of your life is just a waste of the life that you still have.
Yeah. And I think I think the key thing that you mentioned too is knowing yourself, because I'm the kind of person that has to yap things out and like feel my pain. Like I have to cry, I have to like be in it, I have to like whatever it is, the amount of heartbreak, I gotta feel it, you know? Yeah. And then after that, it's like, all right, you felt it, you have to start having these new habits, you know? Right. And stuff like that. And so I think it's important, whether you know, you don't like maybe you just move on, maybe you just don't ever talk about it, whatever it is, you have to like know yourself and how you process, because if you don't process, that crap doesn't go away. Right. You know?
And it's just difficult because I think I much rather be the person that somebody yaps to. I love to be the shoulder someone cries on, but I have a hard time being like the cryy. So putting that out there, I never wanted it to seem like a cry for attention or like look at me, and I almost felt exploitative towards like my own sadness. But that wasn't my intention. And luckily I feel like it was, at least from the people I heard from, well received. But it was just uncomfortable. It was definitely like far from where I like to be. I would much rather, like, not that I would want somebody else to go through a hard thing, but I would rather be there for them than have all the attention on me for that kind of thing. I really love that zone of like being the happy friend.
Do you know what your Enneagram number is?
3.
Okay, what is that again?
It's the
Achiever?
Achiever, yeah.
Okay, well, I definitely see that.
Thank you.
On the 4,
Thank you.
The Individualist.
Isn't that a really creative one?
Yeah, that's probably like, I need to be so unique. That's why I go by Cash when my government name is Morgan.
I love it.
38 minutes, and I feel like we have only just said like our like greetings. We haven't even
formalities.
No, but I think we've gone through quite a few things. We mentioned
jumped around.
Traveling, hardships. Okay, awards.
Oh my god.
Accolades.
No.
So you had a pretty exciting year this year in terms of business wise.
It wasn't bad. It didn't suck.
Now tell us, what is this award that you won?
Well, whenever I was in high school, I won an ugly face contest, and I won some ugly.
Whatever. No, Hannah won the Springfield Business Journal.
That was actually a true story, though. No, I'm not kidding. One time there was a Royals player getting rid of some cleats, and they were doing a contest for whoever could submit the ugliest face on Twitter would win the cleats. And I submitted the ugliest photo you can imagine. Won the cleats. They're in my dad's room.
Oh my gosh! But you have to show us the picture.
I don't know if I have it. I probably buried it.
What was the look? Like, what was the vibe? It was just like
a really like distorted, like scrunched up face. You know, like you know how you can. When you're younger, you think those are hilarious. It was one of those.
I'm just surprised that you were like, oh, I know what to do to win.
I can bring this home without a doubt.
For cleats. And then you probably like, was it like a pride thing, or was it like, I have to win these cleats and like some on eBay?
Well, my parents are huge Royals fans. Like we were raised like huge Royals fans, and I was like, I can win this. I can bring this home for my family. And I did. So that was the first award I ever won.
That's amazing.
Similar.
She's like, it holds the same weight as the Springfield Business Journal one.
Yeah. So the SBJ 40 Under 40 was very cool. It was kind of a surprise. I was nominated 2 years, the last year and the year before as well, but I didn't get it. So I really didn't have my hopes up, because the way that it works is that you have to be nominated, and they send you a packet that you have to fill out, and it's like an essay. And you fill out like your age, your name, your occupation, and they'll have questions like, give us 3 examples of how you show leadership in Springfield, Missouri. Then the next question is, give us 3 clear examples of how you've influenced the career trajectory for someone else because of your profession. Like, they're very in-depth, and it's multiple examples, and it's, you know, what are your goals and what sets you apart. And it definitely, like, I would stay up late. Like, I put more effort into that than I think half of my college degree. So the first 2 years I was like so excited. And whenever I first found out what this award was, back whenever I was like 18, because that's whenever I got my first full-time job in the bank, and I was like, this is like the pinnacle of success. I have to get this. And I've been wanting it since then. So even the nominations were so humbling and flattering. But then I didn't get them, and I was like, screw this. I actually don't want it. It turns out I don't care. I don't want it. It's not, it doesn't.
I got the cleats. I'm good. I'm good for life.
So. Exactly. I was like, it doesn't mean anything. Okay. This doesn't define me. And I kind of like just stopped wanting it. Because, you know, it's like self-preservation, I guess. Even though at 2 years and I was like 23 and 24. So it wasn't that bad.
She's like, it's beneath me.
I had ample time. But I just was tired of like feeling rejected. So I stopped caring. I did not actually ever stop caring. But then whenever I was nominated this year, I didn't expect it again. And that was like pretty soon after we had experienced loss. So I was just not really caring at all. Because one of the biggest changes I feel like I went through is, you know, it all kind of ties together. And if you care that much, you can probably listen to an episode that I did that for way too long about it. But I, like, after traveling, was like, I want something where I don't feel replaceable. And that led to us like deciding to start a family. And then the loss happened. And then I had this weird shift where I went from like my business being my identity and my like pride, joy, at like my first child basically.
Yeah.
And went from that to being like, I actually don't care anymore. Like, this isn't fulfilling me like it used to. And then to get that nomination almost like after I had stopped holding out for it, and to after I wanted something else so badly, it felt like weird,
interesting,
like reverse poetic, like ironic.
Reverse poetic.
But then I was like, whatever, I'll fill out like the paperwork. It doesn't really matter. And I was almost like a little bit spiteful, I think, whenever I was writing it, because there are so many questions, and I don't know. I just feel like I was kind of like tongue in cheek whenever I was answering it, because I didn't expect to get it again. So I was being like less professional and just more honest. And then getting the email that I had actually been awarded it, I was at a client shoot, and I was, you know, looking at my phone, glanced at it, and I came in, and I was expecting to be like, unfortunately, whatever. And it's like, congratulations. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I read it, and I was like hugging my client, and they're like, what's going on? I was so happy. I called Austin. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. It was equally for like 25-year-old me now getting it as it was for 18-year-old me that set that as a goal. So it was just so amazing, and I'm so thrilled. And whoever nominated me, thank you so much. But it was very fun, and it was just kind of like surreal and fun to get to cross that off the list. And then, you know, just that is what it is.
Yeah. Why do you think you got it this year versus the other years? Like, just do you think it was just like more experience you've had in the past couple of years with clients and nonprofits and stuff?
I think so. I mean, every year my experience, like you said, is compounded, and I've been able to add more things to my resume, and I've always been very heavy on the volunteerism, so that has been like one of my strengths, I think, resume wise. But then this year, getting to say like the names of big clients I've gotten to work with, and I think the array of things that I've done has grown probably. So I probably was more qualified this year than 2 years ago when I had first started my business. So
no, it's amazing, and to get that at 25, I feel like is so inspiring for
thank you,
any woman.
Well, I will say I felt very out of place whenever I was there, and I'm watching like a pharmacist go up and get theirs, and then a doctor, and then, you know, all these people that have PhDs, and I was like, oh, I make TikToks for a living.
But I mean, you know, it's when you know marketing, you know marketing.
Yeah.
So I mean, these people, they know what they do, but they're like, hey, I don't know how to grow a brand. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Clients still need to get clients. So
that's true. Actually, I take it back.
On period.
But it was honestly so cool. There are just so many amazing people in Springfield, and I'm happy that there's a community that recognizes so many different types of professionals, and it wasn't relegated to just like the corporate sector. So I'm glad they extended it to creatives as well.
Yes. Now it is time for rapid fire questions. Woo! And guys, Hannah's killing the game.
Like, I don't know if my brain's gonna work that fast.
We're deep, we're vibing out, but you know, we're out here in this cornfield. This cornfield.
The cow pasture.
Sorry, I think any country thing just blends together for me.
It's fine. Whatever.
There's like literally no corn.
Hey, we're in the boonies.
Corn.
Yeah. the telephone wires that are crossing. You're like, we're out here in the pasture.
We love it, guys. This is not as country as I'm trying to be. Well, yeah, my hair is puffy. I love it. Live off, love it.
I'm never going inside ever again.
Never again. I'm just going to stay. Like I said, I'm homeless right now. I'm just going to
camping in the woods.
Rapid fire number question. Oh, remember, when I say rapid fire, this means like Hannah and I are going to be like fast with it.
Okay.
Question number 1. Favorite time of the day?
Morning.
What time?
2 a.m.
Okay. Why?
Because nobody's bothering me and I can be on my phone.
Okay. Biggest weakness?
Thinking everyone cares about me and wants the best for me.
Biggest strength?
Wanting the best and caring about everybody else.
I love it. If you weren't what you did for your job, social media slay queen, what would your job be?
I would want to be either an author or a visual effects artist for like a Hollywood like action movies.
That would be really sick too.
Putting explosives in movies.
Oh, this is actually my favorite question right now, like just in life, is I've been asking people like, what's your ideal like lunch table? So like mine is, I'm obsessed with Lil Yachty. Like I think he's the funniest TikToker ever. Oh, he's so cool. So I'm like, me, it's like Lil Yachty, Steve Carell.
No, Morgan, the way I thought you were talking about, I was seriously about to say, okay, it's going to be a patio table facing like a beautiful view. I want an umbrella, but I want to feel the sun. I thought you literally meant...
This is where you can tell the difference between single and married.
I thought you meant like, where would your ideal table be to eat lunch? I'm like,
She's like, oak or mahogany?
And I had my answer lined up.
Okay, fine. I'll tell my people, and then you tell your table. Yeah, so Lil Yachty, Steve Carell, Helen Keller for the plot, because I have a lot of questions.
Okay. How's she gonna answer them though? You don't know
exactly. So it's like these three.
Okay.
I feel like I wanted maybe like Pamela Anderson, because I'm like on her vibe right now, and then maybe like, maybe like someone from history or someone controversial like for the plot. Oh gosh, I don't know. Maybe you or Eva, just to like mix things up with me.
Just throw somebody in there to like balance that all.
Make sure like I'm all
the culture.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So like I said, my ideal table would be outside in a patio somewhere with an umbrella, like a nice little beverage. Okay, but at the table, Robert Downey Jr. obviously. Maybe Theo Vaughn. I think he'd be a great addition.
Oh, okay, that's new.
Yeah, I would say Ted Lasso, the character. I love Jason Sudeikis, but the character Ted Lasso is like a comfort character for me.
Chase Crawford's my last one.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, keep going.
I'm gonna say Brooke Schofield, because she can tell a story with the best of them. With the best of them.
Okay.
Oh man, I don't know. Brittany Broski.
Ooh, okay.
I'm big
Brooke,
on them.
that would be like some tea
that would
right
be so
there.
funny.
Oh, honestly, I should have Tana on mine. Like,
yeah,
what would
I know.
What am I thinking? Or Cody
like,
Co. Both of them. Oh, that would be
spicy. Controversy. I feel like that'd probably be mine. I don't know. There's so many. I'm so obsessed. I'm like a pop culture junkie. I'm obsessed with way too many celebrities. I get parasocial with it.
Shout out to my coworker Danny, because there's like a certain time of the day where we just yap about pop culture, and it's like nobody. I'm like, on this podcast episode 3, there's so and so said this. What are your thoughts? Like, it's just I just love it.
Who?
No, I love it. Shout out to Danny. 2 last questions for rapid fire is okay. This is one I kind of made up on my own.
I'm ready.
What's your make-a-wish?
Ooh, to meet the Avengers, duh. I want them in costume.
Oh my
I want them to all show up. I want TMZ. They're taking pictures, obviously.
Okay.
Like the same thing as every 8-year-old boy wants.
Yeah.
That's it.
I feel like mine would probably be to just rent out like Atlanta to the Bahamas and like invite all my friends. We're like, just
that'd be fun too, I guess.
Mary Kay and Ashley, 14-year-old Morgan Lord.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice.
Holiday in the Sun.
Hey, that would be my close second. That wouldn't suck. So,
all right. What is something that you feel like social media does not capture about you?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I pretty much post all of it online.
Something that's maybe like I guess for me, I'm trying to think about something that maybe that would be for me.
Well, I have a hard time being serious online, so maybe like my serious side, because on the podcast I will be, but for some reason there's a disconnect between like the people that follow me on Instagram and the people that listen to the podcast. It's the Venn diagram is like almost a circle. So it's not that different, but for some reason, if I'm posting something on my story, it's really hard for me to be serious, like to take myself seriously. And I know that's not always a healthy trait, because like, be a grown-up and be serious. But when I'm talking to myself and I'm recording in the studio by myself, it's a lot easier for me to just bear it all. And I'll talk about my insecurities, physical insecurities, emotional insecurities, and like where I'm feeling inadequate. I'll talk about me being sad, like literally having heartbreak.
Yeah.
Then on Instagram, I'll post like mood with the dumbest photo you've ever seen, and that's as deep as I'm somehow capable of getting. So I feel like if you only follow me on Instagram, you probably would be surprised to learn that I actually have more depth than just the surface. Is
that something that you like? I mean, you've mentioned earlier that you are very like lighthearted, and and maybe like being deep also does sometimes get sad. So is that something like, do you like that your Instagram's that vibe, or would you want it to be?
Yeah. No, I don't want to get deep. Well, even like
it's so crazy though, because every time we hang out, you're so deep. But I'm also like, I feel like I am the chick that like, when I'm sad, I'm like, guys, I need 4 years, please.
I love a deep conversation. Like, I love to talk about, like, why are we here? What's the meaning of this? What, or, like, where are you searching for meaning? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I love to talk about that, but for some reason, like...
Sorry, I just wanted to hold it.
I used to be afraid of lightning bugs really bad, but...
Fireflies?
Yeah, because my neighbor kids were mean. They used to put them on me, so... But I'm cool with them
There's
now.
so much, like, trauma. You're, like,
so much trauma.
like, slowly dumping.
Yeah, I slow drip it. No, I don't want to be more serious online.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with putting 8 memes in every Instagram
and that's
post.
like your outlet, and I think that's like I like that. You know, everyone's got their thing. Period. What do you feel like? Oh, actually, there's so many great questions to ask Hannah. So it's just okay, like fashion inspo. So Hannah and I, we both love vintage.
Yes.
Definitely, I feel like I'm more like everything I wear, my brother wears. Like we are interchangeable closet wise, but like
I need Evan to step his game up so I can do the same thing. Come on.
Fashion inspo. I would say like fashion inspo, and then also like social media or like influencer. Like who do you watch? You know what I'm saying? Like those things they always say. Like who do you think this celebrity watches? Yeah. And everyone's always like Nara Smith, and I'm like I watch Nara Smith. Like I'm not even. I'm like I'm not gonna cook any of this, but like it's really soothing.
That is true. I mean, I've been on a big comedy kick lately. I was on a big self-improvement kick for a long time, and I've just decided that I'm capped out. I don't want to improve anymore. I want to enjoy life. So I like
actually I need to fail a little bit so I can re-improve.
I need to regress, I think. But I like anything that's funny or kind of lighthearted. I'm not as into pop culture as I used to be. I used to be a big BFFs junkie, and I just don't care anymore. But I love, obviously, Tana and Brooke. They're the best. Love Brittany Broski's podcast.
It's like, even with those podcasts, too, because I used to watch BFFs, but all it is just like celebrity gossip.
Yeah, and I just stopped caring.
And like Brooke and Tana, they really talk about like their life and like real life situations. And it's not like, if it's something comes up, it's because it like happened. Like it's not.
I care about them.
And
I don't really care about
like people trying to like expose people just to expose, you know?
I agree. No, I like, I listened to Brooke and Connor make a podcast for a long time, but I've kind of gotten off of that one. I've been on Hot Mess. Like I said, I just have, I really respect Alex Earl's content push. Like she's putting out so much stuff. I love it. So I'll listen to Call Her Daddy if they have a good guest, but I really don't listen to it that much. So
I know I've kind of been back to, because I usually didn't listen because I was like, it can be like, I listen to that or like Frat Boys podcast because I'm just like, I'm trying to cackle, but
I love to cackle.
But I do think that Alex Cooper has upped her game a lot in terms of like interviewing, and I liked the Brittany Snow and Chase Crawford interview. Yeah. So, Chase Crawford, see this?
Yeah.
He's single and 40, so I was like, what?
Hey, there's a chance.
Maybe.
There's a chance. Mm-hmm. I'm here for you.
Oh my gosh. I need help.
Just click the link in the bio for Morgan's GoFundMe. Pay for her therapy.
Pay for my summer Euro trip, please.
Buy the merch for therapy. Therapy has an asterisk, and it's actually plane tickets.
Period. Okay, fashion inspo.
Delaney Childs on Instagram.
Ooh,
she's like my favorite. I followed her for so long, and I feel like her style is always so cool and balanced, and she has like she's like got the opposite body of me. Like she has like really big boobs and no butt, and I'm the opposite of that. So I have to like make modifications because it doesn't always look good on me. But I just love that she does everything for shorter girls, and it's just her adaptations of trends are so beautiful. Yeah. But also I just spend a lot of time on Pinterest. I don't think there's one person that I really like gravitate towards. Yeah. But I'm on Pinterest all the time.
Is there like a time period? Because I would say a lot of mine is like that 90s, thousands, like especially like vintage couture. Like I love like a great like vintage designer dress and stuff like that. Or like
I agree. Yeah, and I feel like I don't really gravitate towards one aesthetic necessarily, but I love going from like a Blair Waldorf outfit to like a super baggy pant crop
gym
top,
class,
like
14-year-old boy in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Dodgeball lore.
And then go against like a plaid mini skirt, boots, and like a tank top, like Y2K. Like it's just nice to be able to pivot. And I think fashion's so fun that I wouldn't want to be like married into like one specific thing.
For sure. And I remember growing, like when I was like little, I used to be like, dang, I just like do not want to be an adult because you have to like literally wear like the ugliest clothes. Yeah. Like that was like, I literally was like, oh, I'm gonna have to wear like business blouses.
Like you have to.
Like I just like soak up this childhood youth outfit.
They assign you suede when you turn 30.
No, seriously. And then I got older and I was like, why is Samantha's mom wearing sneakers? Yeah. Like, oh, I guess you can still right. I guess you can still be cute. I'm being an adult.
You'll be like braid explodes, yeah. Pretty much. That's my goal, honestly.
Wild. Okay, so a question, since you are married, like, and obviously you're like a younger, I mean, we're like 25, so I guess we're mid-20s. Yeah, child bride. Yeah. But also I feel like as someone that is so busy and like does have friends that are married and single, like I feel like you do it very well.
Thank you.
So what would your advice be, like, you know, you're obviously your business owner and your husband's a business owner, like what's your advice for couples that are like constantly on the grind and busy but also like wanting to thrive in marriage, you know?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, first of all,
I did my homework. I'm just
we are, I would say, experts in marriage.
Veterans in podcasting. Oh, sorry. I think I swallowed a fly.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, there's lots of protein in that. That's good. Yeah. No, I have a perfect marriage. It's literally the best thing about my whole life. I think that I'm doing marriage better than anybody else is doing marriage. Just kidding. But honestly,
I'm sorry. I'm so late with it. It's like a delayed.
It's the nature is getting to. It's fine.
Yeah. Still that weed whacking.
We're just like on the same page with so much. And first of all, we talk on the phone 8 times a day. We're so codependent in that aspect where he leaves the house and I either go to my shoots or I go to my home office and work. And probably by 10 a.m., we're having our first phone call. And then I'll call him again. Like between every single shoot, I'm calling him. We don't text ever.
Okay.
We'll text maybe like headed home, but usually I'll call him. So we talk on the phone constantly and we're always like kind of in the know with each other. So there is never really a day that goes by that I don't know what he's been up to already that day. And I think you have to consciously avoid the roommate phase because it's so easy whenever you're married to be like, oh, I'll see him all the time because we live together. And the next thing you know, you like make plans outside the house and you're at work and you're doing all these things and you just like kind of pass in the night.
Yeah.
And you never have a quality conversation. And of course there are different phases. Like my June was super busy and I was traveling a lot and he was not. So now this month, like the focus is obviously more on us together and you have to have conscious time like carved out for date nights and just we have a lot of the same interests. So like we watch the same shows. We like at night have screenings of like reels that we've compiled for each other. But I think we both match up on our independence. So we have different hobbies. He loves to golf. I like to work out outside and like go to the pool with my friends and hang out with the girls and podcast and do everything else. So in the evenings, there's no reason for us both to sacrifice like what we want to do. Like why would he have to not golf and me have to not go for a trail run just to hang out? We just need to make the time that we do spend together like conscious, intentional time. So
no, that's really good.
But at the end of the day, if you like your husband, I don't think it's hard. Yeah. So
that's a bar. So, what would you say is like one thing you guys do like intentionally together that like you enjoy together?
I mean, really just a time. Like you put your phones away is the main thing. Because, you know, it's so easy to make a habit of it. But people always say that marriage is work, and it is. And the way that you have to think about other people in addition to thinking of yourself, because it's so natural to put your own needs and your own desires first and only think of things through your own lens. Like if I come home and Austin hasn't like made dinner, hasn't done something, it's easy to be like, I've been working all day. Like you didn't think about doing this, and then not flip it and be like, he's also been working all day. Yeah. So that's like one of the easiest and first things that we learned to like nip in the bud when we got married is we both have had a day most times. So you have to think about it from their perspective and just not jump on each other emotionally like that. So kind of just be slower to guys get riled up and be more understanding and give grace. But other than that, the rest of it comes easy. People always said like the first year of marriage is so hard, and they honestly freaked us out because we're like, what is so hard about it? Like, what's the problem? And we had no issues. Like the hardest part of our first year of marriage was like, it was all external. It was like house things or like all of that. It had nothing to do with our relationship. So
that's awesome.
Marriage is great.
That's good.
Marriage with the right person is great. I should say that.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar.
Thank you.
And transition to something just a little bit spiritual.
Yeah.
What's God speaking in your life?
Ooh. Oh, wait. I didn't tell you this yesterday. I'll show you now.
Oh, of course you can share with me now. Mic'd up, brother.
It's kind of like, back on the same train. So obviously after the miscarriage, we've been like struggling. That's been our main like prayer is that we'll be able to get pregnant, and you know, it's been a whole journey and talking to doctors and blah, blah, blah. So the other day I was having like a really hard time just because it feels like every time I turn around, I get on Instagram, someone else is pregnant. Literally, Margot Robbie and Gypsy Rose are both pregnant. Like
Margot Robbie?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Literally, I know.
I know, Jip. I was like,
I know.
Girl, Jippity.
But it's like, it almost feels like a joke at this point. I'm like, okay, so everybody's going to be pregnant right now. But everyone around us, and like, I had a couple friends that found out they were pregnant at the same time that I did that are having their babies like right now. Like one of them just had her baby, one of them's about to have her baby, one of my best friends is about to have a baby, and it's kind of just like all around me. Like every time I turn around, then somebody else is, and somebody else is, and then there's clients that are pregnant, and it almost just feels cruel at some points.
Yeah.
So I've struggled with, you know, anger at God and being like, we've been saving money and like we love each other, we have a house, like we're ready, whatever. And you can't logic your way out of God's trials for you. Like you can't reason your way out of testimony. So if God has a testimony for you, like you're gonna live it regardless. So
or timing too.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, it's just not, you know.
Right. And that was one thing, like I feel like I genuinely have been in a good place, and even thinking of, you know, yes, I would have liked to have been having a baby this month, but at the same time, look at all the amazing gifts and memories that God gave me, and like the friendships that I've gotten to go deeper with and everything else, as a result of not being in that particular life stage. So rather than seeing what I've not been able to do, seeing what God has given me instead. But I was having a really hard time the other day, and just like, I hadn't cried honestly in months, and I just, because I'm not a crier, but then I like was like breaking down and crying also, and I was like, it's just not fair. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't feel, this is like, how many more am I gonna have to see? How many more announcements? How many more things before it's my turn? And I also want to like acknowledge, I know I've been like trying for less than a year, and I'm young and all those things. There are so many women that have
your
had.
Your emotions are valid. Like, that's,
well, thank you. But
I mean, it's like you can't compare someone's trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're allowed to feel that way.
You know, so many women have been dealing with longer journeys, and my heart is with them too. So I don't want to make it seem like mine is the worst. But I had this Bible plan that I had been neglecting, that I started in April, that I just stopped reading. Like, I'll read my daily verses in the Bible, but I stopped this plan and just kind of left it in the Bible app. And the next day I was journaling and writing, just being like, just give me a sign that you're with me. Like, just give me a sign. So then I went to this Bible plan. I was like, I'll just pick it up and finish it. And the verse that was for that Bible plan said, "Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come, but when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. So with you, now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. In that day, you will no longer ask me anything. Very truly I tell you, my Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. Until now, you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you'll receive, and your joy will be complete." So I seriously read that, and I started bawling at 8 a.m. And I sent it to my mom, and everything from like, and this is the verse talking about Jesus being crucified, but the context that I was able to read it in is like, I'm weeping and the world is rejoicing. Like, everyone around me is pregnant, everyone else is celebrating, and I'm the one that's still weeping. So the fact that this is the verse that God gave to me that I've read a million times, like in this context, I've never felt more seen.
Wow.
And even just like, a woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come, but when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy. Like, obviously the verse is about physical pain, but like, when I have a baby, all this is going to be out the window, you know? So I seriously was like, I had this wave of peace come over me, and I just felt so like, okay, God sees me, and that might not mean that my prayer is answered this month or next month or this year, but God has not abandoned me, and you know, there's a reason for this. And of course I was like, okay, God, I'm asking for this in your name. But at the same time, you know, if it's not the time, it's not the time. That was just like a huge word that God spoke over me this week.
Wow, Hannah, that is amazing. Dude, God is so good. And it's just like, just being like, I weep when you weep, you know, and it's like, I love you, and I got you. And even I was telling you yesterday that like, my kind of, like, I'm struggling with like being content.
Yeah.
And it's even in our small group, it's like we go around and we ask every person, and we're all going through a season. Yeah. And it's like, I could be like, I want to travel so bad. You want a baby so bad. So-and-so is fighting depression. So-and-so is, and it's like, we all have this individual thing that we all think is the best for us and our time. And this, like, we're all going through our own waiting season. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Exactly.
And, you know, and it's just so crazy how God can be like, I need you to wait. But like, what the waiting season is when we stretch and we grow, and God does stuff with us. Yes. You know, and it's
and
just
when you learn to
like,
lean on Him, because if things had just worked out for me the first time, I wouldn't have developed this relationship and this dependence on God, and I wouldn't have learned all these ways to heal with heavy emotions. And I don't know, I also wouldn't have known what a gift having a baby actually is, because you just you can't know until you're in that like longing.
You're scared you can't have it. Or something like that.
Exactly. So whenever you're in like this part of it, then I'm like, I will never take it for granted. Whereas before, I was so guilty of thinking like, oh, people just get pregnant and it's fine, it's so easy. Yeah. And then now my perspective has completely changed.
Especially because you grow up where it's like, don't get pregnant.
Yes,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, it must be just be so
Yes, yeah. No, it's crazy because in health class, you know, in high school and everything, everyone's like, don't do it. And I'm like, oh, do you realize it's literally like a 20% chance, 4 days a month? That's it. So it's like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I could go on, but that's not for today.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And I think one thing I listened to a podcast today, and it was good, and it was talking about how hope and gratitude can often help with healing. Yeah. And I didn't know that. I mean, like, I think, like, I know right now in my own journey, like, God is like, I need you to be a light to these people. And it's so crazy. Like, I'll just be like praying for them and like praying for them and praying for them. And then you're like, this isn't the life I want, or like blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you kind of get in your head, and then all of a sudden you get a moment where so-and-so is like telling you something about their life, and you're like, this is a window. Yeah. Like, this is a freaking window. And so it's just, I don't like, and things take time. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. The greatest love stories don't happen. Like, you know, what's the point of just, great, they met and then they're, I mean, besides Pamela Anderson talking, but, and us.
Right. And us, obviously, but there are exceptions to every rule.
I know, but it's always like, it's, you know, it's really the journey and what God's going to do. And so, I don't know, it's exciting to see what God's going to do in my life and in your life and like really what's going to happen this next year.
I was going to say how crazy it is, like everything that's happened for us in the past year, like from last podcast to this year, and like it's crazy because I didn't know.
We can't even say on the podcast too.
I know.
Sorry guys.
I know, but there's so much like that I feel like I didn't know. Like if you would have told me in June of last year what everything that was going to happen, I would have been like, oh my gosh. So in the same vein, I'm trying to have faith that like, okay, it's July 11th. You have no idea what's going to transpire between now and next July. So like, let's just be patient and like trust God.
What if I got married?
I would not doubt
it. I just feel like I'm so like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm so weird. Like I feel
when you know.
I feel like I fear that I'm like the Pam.
I would love that. I want to be there though.
Like, what are the odds that like both my siblings are engaged and then I like somehow I know
you beat them?
I know
you laugh them.
No, I always joke around like with Chloe or kind of like at church camp. I was like, y'all are both in relationships. Like, what are the odds I just like get married before both of you guys?
Listen, I support it. I'm putting on my bingo card right now.
You'll totally be there for sure. Wherever it is, in the back of a Wendy's in Greece. I don't know.
Snapping digital photos. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Well, we are coming to a close here on the pod, which I feel like we actually covered like the majority of what I wanted to cover. So that's actually a slay for us.
I'm so proud of us.
Look at us go. Okay. 2 last questions.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I had to throw this one in here. Okay. Well, if you could say one word to Robert Downey Jr., what would it be? Like, you only get one word to say.
Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah. You changed my life. Thanks.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Happy.
Wow. I love Hannah. So like I'm like, the way I answer is, wow, okay, this is a good one.
No, because you're
hotter?
That too. That's
like, I will be happy.
Well, I would be happy if I was hotter. But that's the thing. I really don't. This is a work in progress, but I'm trying not to put my happiness on like circumstances, because
that's good.
One, because you can't predict the future, you can't count on them, things change. But also because I don't want to put limits on like what God could do in my life.
That's so good, Hannah.
You know, what if I say I see myself in 5 years with a few more clients and my house is bigger and I have 2 babies and this and that? Because what if God's plan is like blowing that out of the water and I'm over here like thinking like this? So I just want to be happy, you know? And
can we talk about how hard it is to like trust God? Like, it is.
Yes.
Like, it's just the craziest thing. Like, when I think about when he's like, I just want people that have like childlike faith. It's because when you're a kid, you're like, guys, like, go to bed, Santa's coming, and you're just like, okay, you know. And it's like, why can't I be like that? Instead, it's like, actually, here's my outline of what I think I should live in the next 10 years. You know?
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing that I feel like I've been telling myself, is like, you can't script miracles. Like, I keep telling God, like, you know, it'd be really cool is like if this happened and like, you know, you did this because like it would really work out like that. And then I keep feeling like you can't script miracles. That's not how they work.
That's good.
Like, they just have to happen. That's how miracles are. And I also feel like one of the things that I'm trying to work on is I don't want to be like I don't want to have a good testimony, because I can see what God has done with the podcast and with my journey up to this point. And there's part of me that's afraid that God wants to use me for bigger things. And I don't want that, because I want what I want. I want to have a baby and to grow my family and to live my happy little life. I don't want God to give me a harder journey, even if it helps more people. Like, that's the selfish, like, human side of me.
The honesty, though, is
it's scary, though, you know? And I can see that, like, weakness in me, being like, okay, well, what if this path is going to help so many more people, but it's so much harder and I don't get what I want and we don't grow our family? I don't want it, like, truly. But it's like, you know, not to compare myself to Jesus himself, but on the cross when he's like begging at the, like, take this away, but if you can't, like, I'll do it, you know? Like, the night before, if there's any other way, it's almost like I don't want to walk the hard path. I want what I want. But, you know, if that's not God's will, then we'll do what we got to do, I guess.
Yeah. It's crazy. I feel like I've been learning so much of like, okay, well, I want whatever God wants, you know, but then he does care about our desires.
Yeah.
And like, he does want us to be happy. And so it's like this thing of like this dance you're doing with him, you know, you're doing life with him and just like navigating it all. And I don't know, it's every day I'm like, wow, You think it would get easier?
You would think.
But definitely, I think you develop holy habits. Yeah. You know, and I feel like I'm almost like 1 month of like not listening to secular rap music. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why that was like a little bit easier than I thought. You know what I'm saying? But like so much of like my mind is clearer and like stuff like that. And I don't even know, like developing holy habits of like being pushed of even this past week of 4th of July. I'm like 3 people's accountability partner, which I'm not trying to like be out here, but like 2 girls asked me, and then I had a connection with one girl at church camp in the sense of like, we had similar stories, and I was like, I feel like I need to be your partner because you said you don't have many Christian friends, and it's like 4th of July week, none of us got to really chat, and the way that I literally was like, I can feel a difference in myself. Like, I literally feel unhinged. I'm like sad. I mean, like, I'm just, versus every day on my lunch break, I'm praying over these girls and they're praying over me. Like, it's like this code of protection. And so, like, you're just doing ministry with people and, like, you're sharpening each other. And so, I don't know. Like, it's just this thing of, like, getting to talk about, you know, your pain point, my pain point, knowing God's got big and mighty plans. He knows our desires. He has the best plan. You look at the Bible and it's like Sarah and Abraham waited so many years to have a kid and they were so old, you know, and yet they had the promise. And then God's like, will you sacrifice it? This huge thing you waited forever for, like, will you sacrifice it, you know, as a test? And so it's just crazy how, you know, God's like, I'm a loving father, but I'm still your father, you know? And so, sorry, TED Talk.
Amen.
Nobody, chapel credit, nobody.
Hey, what she said. What she said.
As we end every podcast, favorite song, favorite quote, and what do you want your legacy to be? Obviously, you've been on the pod before, so if you can make them deep, you can make them live, laugh, love, whatever your vibe is.
Okay, so my favorite song has been She's a Rainbow by the Rolling Stones. Okay. It's just like a happy montage song.
Oh, girl, you're trying to get into that concert.
Like, I know.
Well, I'm glad you're prepping for Monday.
But it sounds like it's just like a happy, like literally sounds like the beginning of a movie, like a movie montage. I love it. My legacy, I just want people to remember me, like making them feel warm and fuzzy. Like I want people to remember their encounters with me as positive. Like even if it was little teeny tiny. So I'm just kidding. Yeah. Someone's like, actually no, I don't like being around fire. No, I mean like whatever it is. It could be positive in like a deep, impactful way. That'd be great. But also if it's just like, oh, she was nice. I hope it's just like a positive impact on people.
Yeah. So far so good, bro.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything to the contrary. And then the quote. Ooh.
And it can be like whatever's on the top of the dome too, like.
Oh man, that's probably dangerous. Let me quote Ted Lasso. Also, that song I got from the Ted Lasso soundtrack.
Okay, period.
Big Ted Lasso kick. His whole thing is like be a goldfish, like forget the bad stuff, like don't hold grudges, don't let them weigh you down. So, and it was like in the context of sports, but like as a character, his whole thing is always like forget it, like forgive and forget. That's it, and it's simple. So that's what I've been like trying to do, even in daily life. Like you get stuck in traffic, you get cut off, your coffee is slow. Like be a goldfish, forget it. Like all that happens is you let these negative things like compound, and you just get depressed and anxious and stressed out. So I'm trying to just be like a little goldfish and forget everything. So
that's really good. And last but not least, 1 year of friendship. What would be your Yelp review?
Ooh, I would say 5 stars, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up, and would repeat the year. We'll be renewing for another year.
Another membership.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be renewing my membership.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Love you guys. We're in the heat of summer. I still want to do a camping trip, boating vibe. We're
Count me out for that. I'll do the boating trip, but don't put me down for camping.
We're basically camping right now.
Yeah, I've had enough.
But I love you guys, seriously. I love your support. I love that you guys share the pod. And remember, just the best thing you can do is if God's putting something on your heart, just obey it. You know, obey it because you do not know the difference it can make. So love you guys, and remember to always keep on keeping up with cash. Okay, bye.